about making a blanket chest for my daughter. The finished chest is shown here. The design is shown next in the 3D modeling software SketchUp. I'm skipping the steps that include board and grain selection, cutting and glue up, since I've covered these topics before in prior videos. It's important to note that the boards must have uniform thickness, not be warped, bent, or twisted, and square on all sides prior to glue up. I also like to choose an attractive grain pattern as shown here. So this is the design of the blanket chest video. You can see the various aspects that we have here. It's 40 inches long, close to 16 inches wide, and it's 20 inches tall. That dimension is shown, but that's what it is. It's made of cherry on all four sides, and then it has on the inside, it has white cedar, it has walnut legs, and a tiger maple top with an automatic closing mechanism. This is a three-dimensional image. You can see when I rotate it around here that all the aspects of that image are shown, including the legs, etc. One of the things you can do with these is select various components and then move them about. And you can see if I blow this up, that indeed I have full dovetails. These are all hand-cut dovetails, and there happen to be 36 of them. I only know because it took quite a while to get them all cut the way I wanted to. But anyway, they're there, and so that was a nice maneuver. That was a nice job that I had to do, and I appreciate the work that I put into it. And hopefully it's something that I can show you. I'm going to show you all the details of this as we go through it. So that's the blanket chest, and we'll take it from there. Thanks. Hi, I'm Jim Vander, Schaaf, and welcome to my shop down East Woodard. I want to show you a technique I've developed over time that helps out when you have a board that's too long for your table saw to cut. So I'll just show you the situation here. I've got a long board. I'm making a blanket chest. This happens to be, I'm making this 40 inches long this way, and I just have to cut the end off right over in here. Now what I've done is take the advantage of the fact that I have a straight edge on the edge of my table saw right here, and if I use that straight edge, that's an equidistant from the table saw blade. So if I put in a board just like this and clamp it down, then that can butt up against the edge of the table saw extension, and I can get a smooth cut. So I'll demonstrate that in just a moment here. So now what we're doing is we're laying out the pin board and the tail board, and this is the tails. And what I've done is used my marking gauge to mark the pin board, and that's marked here along this line. You can see it. I just marked it like this. I didn't mark it on the sides. I just marked it on both sides, both flat sides like that. As you can see, that line is not very clear, but it is there. Then I did the same thing on this board. First of all, I clamped it in place and am holding it here as well as in the vise, and it's laying on the floor. Usually I try to get it lower like this, lower as I can, because I don't want it vibrating when I cut the grooves that cut the tails. And what I did to lay this out is decided that I wanted to have 10 pins across the top. This is a distance of about 19, little over 19 inches. So I've laid those out with a divider rather than measure them. And the way I did that is lay out at this point, this pin is 1/4 of an inch here. It's also 1/4 of an inch over on the other side. And then I started to lay the dividers to get the idea of just how I wanted to lay them out. I adjusted the dividers so that I'm making marks exactly in the middle of the 10 pins, and you just do that in an iterative way until you're happy that you get them and you come out just exactly right. And it's fiddling back and forth with the dimensions, so you do that. Rather than do any math, it's a much easier way. Once you have the centers of all the pins laid out, and I've made a mark at each one of these locations, then I just use the dividers to get what I'm happy with on a distance for the pins. And it's just like this much. It's maybe, I don't know, it's more than 1/4, it's probably 3/16. That looks about right, something like that. Then I go over each side of the centers. The center is in the middle, and I push down and I make a mark. And I push down, make a mark, push down, make a mark, all the way through. Once that's done, then I use my marking gauge that I've made up. And that's just shown here, 1x6, 1x7. It's got the ability to do a straight line as well. And with a red marking pen, start to lay these things out. And I will show you in detail what they look like. All right, so here's where you see how the pins are laid out, and the marking gauge has been used for that purpose. I'll just zone in here a bit, and you can see that. You can see I used a red pen to lay out that mark, and just flip it on the other side to mark it in the other dimension, like right there. So you go and lay those out, and then I put this black tape right across the bottom, and I'll show you how that's going to be used later. But the purpose it serves now is to very clearly mark the position of my cutting all the way down to that gauge line. Now I'm going to start to cut the tails, and I'll show you what I do. It's a straightforward process. This is a Rob Cosman saw, and he's got 15 teeth per inch at the beginning of this saw, and then it's 22 teeth per inch at the beginning, 15 teeth per inch at the rest of the saw, and I'll show you how I use that to cut. You just use the beginning of the saw blade and put your thumb there, and I want to cut, so I'm cutting that line, and I want to cut just right on the groove. And I want to cut just on the side of the red, and then make sure that I'm cutting down. I want to cut straight across, and then cut down perfectly on that line. And I want to come right down to the end of the line, just like that. You can see that that's perfect across. I'll show you the details on these cuts, and it's down to the line. Continue with that same angle all the way across. I'll just do a couple more.